Airlift Workshop, where you get expertise from the air suspension specialists, keeping you on the road and in top condition for over 70 years. Today, we'll be demonstrating the installation of a LoadLifter 5000 air spring kit on a Ford F-250. Installation may take up to 2 hours to complete using common mechanics tools. Remember, this video does not replace your installation guide, so grab yours out of the box and let's get started. Let's assemble the air springs. There will be one assembly for each side of the vehicle. Set a roll plate over the top of the air spring. Install the swivel fitting into the air port on the air spring. Tighten the fitting 1.5 turns past finger tight. Set the upper air spring bracket onto the top of the air spring and secure using hardware as described in the installation guide. Torque the hardware to no more than 20 foot-pounds. Flip the assembly over and set a roll plate onto the bottom of the air spring. Set the lower bracket onto the air spring, making sure the slots in the lower bracket are on the opposite side of the fitting at the top of the air spring. Attach the lower bracket with the hardware as described in the installation guide. Leave loose at this time. On models that have the inner fender liner, trim out a small section of the fender that comes in contact with the roll plate on top of the air spring. If your vehicle has frame contact overloads, see installation guide for more install notes. For models that have Ford fifth wheel brackets mounted to the side of the frame, remove the hardware that holds the brackets to the frame. This video demonstrates installations on trucks without frame contact overloads. Lower the axle or raise the frame up to obtain clearance for the air spring assembly to be put into position. Set the assembly into position above the leaf spring retainer. Insert the airline into the fitting on top of the air spring assembly. Attach the upper bracket to the frame with the hardware listed in the installation guide. Torque the hardware to 185 pound-feet. Raise the axle or lower the frame all the way back into stock position. Temporarily set the U-bolts down through the top of the lower bracket so that it aligns the lower bracket with the leaf springs. Use an open-end wrench to just snug the lower bracket mounting hardware enough to hold the lower bracket into position. Remove the U-bolts and drop the axle or raise the body once more to gain access to the lower mounting hardware and torque to no more than 20 pound-feet. Set the spacer bars between the lower bracket mounting legs and the leaf springs. Then raise the axle or lower the frame back to stock height. Install the U-bolts up and around the leaf spring pack, through the spacer bars, then through the lower bracket, and attach with the hardware described in the installation guide. Push the lower bracket forward or back to align the air spring, and torque the hardware to 16 pound-feet. Using a hacksaw or a grinder, trim the rear inside leftover length of the U-bolt off to just above the nylon lock nut on both sides of the vehicle. To install the airlines, begin by choosing locations for the Schrader valves and install those first. See the installation manual for detailed information. The nylon airlines are routed from the air springs to the Schrader valves. It is recommended that the airline be routed along the top of the frame and then down to the fitting, leaving about 2 inches of slack. Cut to length, making clean, square cuts with a razor blade or hose cutter. After cutting the airline to length, insert it into the fitting. Use zip ties to secure the airline to fixed points along the chassis. Do not pinch or kink the airline. That does it. Remember, you can find more information about all of our products at airliftcompany.com. And our knowledgeable customer service team is always just a phone call away. Thanks for joining us in the Airlift Workshop.